What is up, everybody? It is Thursday, April 10th, and I'm so happy today because not only is today the start of the Masters, and for a brief second of time, I was in first on a few tournaments out there this morning, so I got to screen cap that. But also, I have these two fine gentlemen on the show today. Just go ahead and introduce them. Mr. Tuttle05, co-founder of Fantasy Insiders, and then Napster Man, the guy who loves the A, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard not to.
Yeah.
Hard not to.
And Nap, you're all jacked up on the. You're all jacked up. Sorry, I was reading the chat. You're all jacked up on the 5-hour energy. You've got it ready to go.
I'm all jacked up on what?
Your 5-hour energy.
Oh yeah. Today's batch is almost gone.
Oh man.
Today's batch.
No, that's like a week.
Well, first of all, I am jealous of that FanDuel hoodie that you've got.
Yeah. Wow.
Tuttle. Did
Oh,
you
look
get
at
that at the
that.
football championship? Why
Yeah,
didn't they have that at the
look at it.
baseball?
Look at the patch. Their shirts were better for football too.
Well, you mean this right here?
Yeah, that's not like good material. The football shirts actually had good material for the shirts too.
They stepped their game up.
They did. And you got like a little tote bag too.
And you've got the check there in the background from Star Street for that big win. So you're all repping the big tournaments. For those of you that do not know, Mr. Tuttle qualifies for all the big tournaments, and Napster Man also not only qualifies, but he wins. And
Yep.
the guy has a brain unlike any other when it comes to lineup construction, because it truly is a skill.
McJester has one better.
Well,
he's not. He's
you're not going
ridiculous.
to beat Mick Jester. The run that he has been on this year is simply sick. I mean, it's sick. It is fun, though, to see some of these NBA guys that have started to dip their toe into the MLB waters. Dr. Olson, 22, who's normally in the chat. I'm not sure if he's in there today. He won 60 grand there in that FanDuel tournament on Friday, and I saw him in the qualifier last night. I think McJester is also going to be doing some baseball stuff, so it's going to be fun. And we talked a little bit yesterday, Nap, you and I, about and on the show about how the industry is like going to be growing with all these big tournaments and with all these fish basically coming in. Have you seen anything fishy out there as far as like high stakes players that don't have any major wins?
I've mostly put my action on DK and draft day, and the other day, we know the San Diego Cleveland game got rained out. Two teams out of 8 in the daily 109 had Kluber. So I mean, if you can, and one guy had a Cleveland stack. So I mean, there's always going to be new guys with money coming in, and as the season, the early part of the season is the time to go a little bigger since before people catch on.
Yeah. Dan, what about you as far as like high rollers go? Have you seen anything out there as far as newbies?
On a day-to-day basis, yeah. I mean, you saw yesterday, I think Nap tweeted about it on FanDuel. It wasn't a high-stakes one, but 27% on Tulo for all-day games. So it's that sort of thing, especially I've noticed on FanDuel, that you can take advantage of. And in the past, especially on Sundays, Tulo's a guy that actually gets his fair amount of rest throughout the year. And a lot of times that Rockies lineup is an out for their day games that start at about 3 p.m. Central. So a lot of guys actually risk Tulo on Sundays and just Colorado day games in general. So if you're conservative with that, that's a good way to kind of get a head start on some of those day games.
Yeah, Tulo, Rosario, Cargo, all those guys can burn you when they're playing in Colorado on Sundays. All right, well, let's just go ahead and start with, I guess, the gross pitchers. Tonight there's only 6 games, 6 or 7?
6, I think.
Yes,
6.
So let's start with the pitchers. We have Cliff Lee, who is going up against all righties there in that Brewers lineup. And so that'll be interesting. And then we have R.A. Dickey. So as far as those two guys are concerned, Nap, where do you fall in that? Is there any other pitchers that you would put above those two guys?
I mean, just on skill, no. Matchup, and, you know, the other opponent's lineup, I kind of like the Meja Hale. Someone from there I think is going to be, you know, a nice game, like maybe 1 or 2 runs, but like at least 6 Ks, 6 innings. I'm leaning more towards Meja, just he's a lot cheaper on DK, draft day. I haven't looked at FanDuel, I'm not really playing there tonight, but that's kind of where I'm leaning. Salazar maybe, Chicago, and they got Dunn back. There's a lot of guys who can just destroy a start. Brady's hot. So, yeah, I'm looking at the Mets game and Dickey more.
What about you, Tuttle?
Yeah, I'd say Dickey's pretty much clearing away the number 1 option tonight. Cliff Lee's got the name recognition, but he's obviously off to a pretty slow start. I think I looked at I'm trying to remember. I was looking at, you know, his first 2 starts, it's obviously a small sample size, but he's, I think, allowed like 21 or 22 hits over 12 innings. So I mean, obviously something's not there early season for him. I believe his fastball velocity's dropped significantly too the last 2 years or so. So I don't know if he's losing something on his fastball or what's going on, but I completely avoiding Cliff Lee tonight. I don't think there's any reason to risk him, even though the pitching slate's really bad for tonight. Dickey's my number 1, and then it drops off from there. I think I'm with Knapp, and targeting someone from the Mets-Braves game isn't, you know, is possibly your best bet to go. I think Salazar I'd put a little above those 2. But yeah, that's about it. Looking at DraftKings, I was pretty surprised at Hal's price on DraftKings.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd play him on DraftKings. I definitely prefer Salazar much more than Hal. And Salazar is probably my second pitcher of the night, like I said, but I think Dickey is far and away the number 1.
Yeah, Dink was asking where is the Salazar love. So
yeah, I think he's a number 2 for me for sure. I think I'm on multi-pitcher sites. I think there's enough bat options tonight or hitting options tonight where on multi-pitching sites you can actually just lay the chalk at pitching if you want. But I don't have any problem going with Mejia, like Matt mentioned, especially on DraftKings. I think Mejia is definitely the Mejia.
Mejia? Oh my God.
No, Mejia.
I call him Meja.
I call him McGee.
It's Mejia. I guarantee.
Okay.
I think I actually looked it up on Baseball Reference so that I'd have it right.
Did you?
But yeah, it's Mejia. But Mejia's hands down a better play for me than Hal on DraftKings because of the price.
No.
Yeah.
So Salazar love for you, Nap, yay or nay?
Oh man, I'm kind of. I understand, like, he's a K pitcher. He's going to be popular tonight. It's just not, I don't know. I just go with what I'm feeling, and I'm just not on him tonight. You know, sure, he's on the road. I want to see him have, like, a really dominant start this year against, like, the White Sox lineup's not cake. It's not, Abreu, Dunn, Viciedo, De Aza. Like, I don't want to go through that 5 times tonight and hope he has a safe start. Like, he could. Sure, I'm screwed if I'm fading him, basically, yeah. So, it's just what you're feeling. If what's the Vegas, like, what's that game? Is it like 7.5 or 8 or?
What do I have down here?
I think it's 8. It's got to be over.
Yeah, it's an 8.
See, the major game's like 7.5.
Yeah.
For the White Sox?
Team total for the Sox is 3.5.
Okay.
And then
What's it for the Braves?
Braves team total is actually 4 is what I have down.
Yeah,
I
it's
look at
similar.
5 dimes.
Yeah, it's just whatever else you like in your lineup that you're probably going to go Dickey and cash game if it's a two pitcher say, whichever one gets you those hitters you want. Mage's how much more cheaper is he than Salazar?
He's
DK is like
1,600, I think, on DK.
yeah. I
1,600
just
cheaper.
there's not enough super cheap bats I think tonight. Navarro's cheap or catcher. Rayburn. I don't know. It's a tough spot between the second pitcher tonight. So whatever you're feeling, it's going to be between Salazar and probably Hale or Major.
Very nice. Those are probably the top three. Cliff Lee is risky with all those righty bats, and especially where his price is so high. But as far as Lee versus Dickey goes, I think we're all in on Dickey over Cliff Lee. We do have a former major league pitcher in the chat room, Jensen Lewis, who used to close for the Indians. He does the Fox Sports Live pregame and postgame for the Indians. He says no go on Salazar tonight. So maybe he will say.
Wow.
Maybe
I'm interesting for the reasoning on that.
Yeah, maybe he will let us know what his reasoning is from a former major league pitcher's perspective. So that should be fun. Hopefully he can weigh in there. Let's talk about some of the big games tonight. As far as the stacks or mini stacks, Nap, what are some of the games that you're looking at, the obvious ones for tonight?
I mean, the obvious stack of the night's Blue Jays. Keuchel's over 300 career first righties. It's like Enkar, he's been kind of shaky last 2 games, but that night you fade him against the lefty, he's going to double dong. And I think tonight I'm just plugging him in. I don't like other first base options too much tonight. Napoli, Pineda's good against righties. I think Enkar, just lock him in and hope this is the night he breaks out. Batista, Enkar, Melky, Navarro. I'm just kind of stacking those 4. That's my main stack. What's your stack total?
I think Toronto's the obvious stack, like you said. I'm only throwing a couple, I think, GPP bullets tonight. So I do want to go a little different. I think I'm going to differentiate. I'm basically just going to fade Toronto and pray that Keuchel randomly gets some ground balls. He is a ground ball pitcher, significantly a ground ball pitcher, but when he lets the ball in the air, it's leaving the yard is the obvious downfall with him. So Toronto is by far and away, I think, the best stack or team stack to go with. But an off-the-board stack that I actually really like tonight would be the Phillies, at least the left-handed bats from the Phillies, like against Marco Estrada. I've never bought into Estrada so far this year. He's actually got a pretty bad fly ball to home run ratio.
Isn't he kind of reverse splits? I thought righties were better than him in career. I wouldn't like.
Is it close?
I think it's more for righty. Like I remember that last year. But I mean, yeah, I agree. I like that stack at home. Phillies at home, definitely.
Yeah, I like Phillies. So I would like Howard, at first base. Let me see. Lefties are a little better. The slugging percentage is
okay.
Pretty dang even. Woba's,
it's neutral.
Yeah, it's pretty dang even. But yeah, I like. I think Don Brown's in a good spot. I know Ben wrote him up too tonight. So I like those lefty bats from Philly, and then kind of fill in with some Cleveland bats too. They're going against Danks. I think they're in a pretty good spot, even though they just got pretty much shut out by 2, mediocre lefties from San Diego. So they haven't been hitting the greatest against left-handed pitching like they did last year. But I still think they're in a good spot.
Yeah, I guess the contrarian stack or mini stack that I would be looking at would be the Giants tonight. You've got Posey, Belt, and Pablo, all 3 guys that I think, again, have good matchups. Posey was mispriced yesterday on Fantasy Elite, and so whoever got first pick was taking Posey at $5K.
Was he? Oh, wow.
I'm not sure if he's that way today, but at first I liked the way he was priced because I was just taking all the big bats, but the big bats were Miggy and Trout, not Goldschmidt. So it was rough. It was basically rough for me. I did beat Ben and TF Bologna in a triple up and took their $2.75. So that was good enough to pay for a cup of coffee. I want to touch up again on Salazar because we do have some reasoning from Jensen Lewis in the chat. Again, if you have any questions for us, not really for us, for Napsterman or Mr. Tuttle, because they are the pros, feel free to ask them in the chat and we'll get to them. Also, Nap is going to be coming up with some sort of competition. I don't even know what it is, but...
is it for a t-shirt?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Whatever you want to do, we shall.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
We shall do. But Jensen says,
Fantasy Insider hot sauce.
I can make some. Listen, we're in Nashville, son. We got hot sauce. Couple things on Salazar.
Dave, I got a $1 million idea. You call it FIFI 55 Fantasy Insider Flaming Intestines. Boom.
Fifi.
Yeah.
It's like the next FIFA.
Or the next Wi-Fi.
Right.
Fantasy Insider Flaming A-hole. You could do that, FIFA.
Well, we already have Dan.
We could just shut down the site.
Softball. Thank you, Nap. All right, can we get to
no one
Jensen?
wants Dave sauce.
Can we get to Naps? I mean, can we? You guys got me all confused. Jensen says a couple things on Salazar. Yes, high potential for Ks, but high pitch count won't go deep in the game. Sox lineup has been hot against high velocity guys this past week. Watching Salazar live, it's tough to see him matching up against a Sox lineup that crushes good heaters. So that is from him, and he is What does that say?
I'm not logged in. It'll ruin my computer will crash. But I was saying hi to J. Lou.
Oh, okay. Santana versus Danks night would be a good play if you're in on the Tribe lineup. So
and actually, Asdrubal moved up to the one spot leadoff, which is intriguing. So I think shortstop's kind of lacking position tonight in general. So I think Asdrubal at leadoff gets a pretty big boost in value.
Yeah. I know that, again, if you're high on the Giants, which I've been a few mini stacks. I know Brandon Crawford is 3K, but we'll touch on the shortstop because it's that middle infield that's always given us problems. Shortstop and second base. Nap, when you're creating your lineups, do you typically start at you're mostly on DraftKings. Do you typically start with your pump plays or the guys that you see in good positions that people might not be on? As far as constructing a lineup, where do you go with that?
I mean, I like to look at a couple guys that are similarly priced in good spots that you can kind of hedge. Like today, I think it's like Kelly Johnson and Semien. They're 3.1, 3.3. Second base and short's pretty, not great today. I kind of like those guys to maybe one. I think one of them's gonna dong. We didn't really mention. I kind of like the Yankee stack at home. Buchholz kind of blew up last start, so I don't. And he's kind of even versus righties and lefties. I don't really mind. Soriano's really cheap, so I just kind of target similar price guys, and then I like building half stacks and then kind of hedging like a 2-2 stack. Because you need to get that 2 or 3 dongs in the filling guys if your mini stack goes off. So yeah, value guys. I mean, you always got to look at the 2K to 2,500 guys. There's not too many tonight. There's Navarro and Rayburn and who else? I mean,
for the cheap guys on DraftKings, there's not much.
I like Semi, and I mean the 2 always.
Just want to take this time to remind people that when Napsterman is saying
Jesus.
dongs, he is saying as in home runs.
Was that as loud for the chat as it was for me?
It might have been.
Okay, 30 said. Okay, holy crap.
Sorry. Apparently I had the volume up and I did not realize it.
The wrong dong show.
Let's see. The thoughts on Utley and Rollins at second base and shortstop.
I think Aaron. Let me check though. No, Aaron Hills. He was out last night.
I like it quite a bit. I mentioned that I like the Phillies today. So yeah, I think for me, second base on like a FanDuel where Rayburn's second base eligible. I think it's for me between Rayburn and Utley, depending on it's a significant gap in price, but depending on how you want to play it, I think one of those two are locked in for me. And I do like Rollins. I think what did I have Rollins ranked here? I have Rollins and Asdrubal pretty much head to head for my number one shortstop spot tonight.
Aviles is kind of sneaky. He's down there.
Yeah,
right?
he could be.
I'm sorry for the sound effect. I've got it all under control. Late round QB just mentioned me on Twitter and said that it sent his dog into cardiac arrest. Davis's ears are bleeding. So yes, I apologize for that. Tuttle, one thing last year we talked about, like with these mini stacks, that the 4-4, the 3-2-2 is teams that had strong infield options. So you were last year, you were thinking about like Cano and Jeter. You were thinking of Kinsler and Andrews and Rollins and Utley. As far as this year goes, what are some of those middle infield options that you like as far as pretty solid middle infield? I'll start with you, Dan.
Well, the Indians are going to be fun a lot this year when they do face left-handed pitching. Like I said, they kind of came off to a slow start or have had a couple bad games against left-handed pitching so far this year. But you would figure that would turn around with the way that their lineup's constructed. They were number one in WOBA last year against left-handed pitching. I think they'll get back towards the top here eventually, and it's just more or less a slow start. But they do provide a nice kind of mini stack team against left-handed pitching because they give you the appealing options against left-handed pitching in the middle infield, which you don't get from a lot of teams. So you get Carlos Santana, that's third base eligible. You got Asdrubal, Rayburn against left-handed pitcher. But you can even stack them, I guess, going the other way around because Asdrubal and Santana's splits really aren't that different or that much different between whether they're batting lefty or righty. So if you switch them against a right-hander, you can do that too and then add Kipnis to the stack. So I think they're, for me, one of the number one teams to stack, at least middle infield-wise. Other than them, there's not a whole lot of teams that really come close. Obviously, Rollins and Utley against right-handed pitching is not bad. But I think Indians are far and away the best team to get that middle infield stack with.
Nap, what about Cano and your boy Brad Miller?
I mean, it depends on the matchup. I don't really like him in that at home that they don't dong much there, but I mean, we don't know yet with Cano, but I don't really like Cano. Like, he's just lazy to me. I hate it. I hate baseball players that go through the motions. He's not lugging out bases and stealing, and he needs the dong to hit any kind of value. So, I mean, I kind of fade Mariners almost every night. Like, Smoke, if he's in a nice matchup, maybe. But that middle infield question, I love the Cubs this year. Like, Bonifacio, Olt, Castro, like, those three, they're so cheap. Or Bonifacio's getting up there, but I think Olt's like 2,400. He donged yesterday. I liked him. And then also the Yankees, Solarte, Kelly Johnson, sometimes Brian Roberts. They're all going to be under 3 or less. It's a nice middle infield.
Yeah. I did have a question. Rollins or Cabrera tonight?
Yeah, I was about to type out something. But basically,
go ahead
I look
and
at
say it while you type it out.
What's that?
Go ahead and
say
it.
I'll say it too. Actually, I just deleted it, so it's not going to get typed out either. But basically, if something's really close or a coin flip for me, which is basically what I see Rollins and Asdrubal. I see it more or less as a coin flip between the two. I look at it as a lineup construction thing then. So if I have the rest of my lineup has a few Indians in it, then I'd go or side with Asdrubal because I want to capitalize on that team's success. If I have Utley in my lineup or a few Phillies in my lineup, then I would side Rollins. So it's basically a lineup construction thing for me. If you have no other Phillies or no other Indians, flip a coin. That's basically what I would tell you.
Yeah, my also tiebreakers. I like the guys playing at home more. I mean, the guy away is going to get potential extra at bats, but I like the guy at home is kind of more comfortable, and I like the guy going against righties too. He's better chance to steal a base. I think Rollins is compared to Asdrubal tonight.
Interesting. We have basically 30 minutes, and Nap, at some point in this 30 minutes, you've got to come up with some sort of competition. So,
All right, I got time. I'll start thinking.
okay, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying is you've got 30 minutes. So feel free to start thinking. Brian McCann. He's a guy that our buddy Steve, one of the co-founders, just loves, and he continues to want to go back to the well as far as somebody who just loves Brian McCann, wants to keep on playing him night in and night out. When someone's in a slump like McCann is, he's dirt cheap on Draft Street. I mean, that's probably the one site that you almost have to take him there on Draft Street. But when someone's in a slump, we've talked in the past about do factor and how that's like not really smart thinking. Renee mentioned it yesterday, the do factor about someone basically going through a slump, how it's like a cognitive bias that you have, and she's a neuroscientist, so she knows what she's talking about. But when they're going through a slump, I want to ask you guys as far as if they have a good matchup and they're slumping, do you wait for them to kind of come out of that slump, or do you go ahead and roll them out, or is it just totally price dependent? Nap?
It's price dependent and it's option dependent. Like catcher, I mean it's not too great. I mean it's okay tonight. I think Navarro, Gomes, and Posey are kind of ahead of McCann tonight to me. So I mean I haven't looked at Draft Street, but if he's like 2K less than, I mean maybe. I mean, I watched a little bit of the game yesterday. He's not like K-ing every. I mean, he hit a deep fly ball. I think he's not like slumping. I think he's just getting a little unlucky. So I mean, and he's in the great park. Kind of a rivalry game might be a game he kind of focuses a little more against the Red Sox. I don't know. It's tough to just kind of gamble when he's gonna hit another one. Like going 0 for 4 every night. So I don't think tonight. I don't think it's a cash game play. I don't think so.
Dan? The slumping.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of the book's title, but there is actually literature out there basically that is along my line of thinking, and they've done some research into it. Basically, I'm not a huge guy that reads into streaks, whether it be slumping or if they're on a hot streak. I do feel like there can be some merit to it, I guess, personally, but I think it's also hard to predict when that hot streak will start and when that when the slump will end and when the hot streak will start. So I know there's some literature out there. I forget the name of the book. If anyone has it out, Dink's making fun of me for saying literature. But if anyone knows the Dink's name, the book's name, you can go ahead and type it in chat. But basically, yeah, I don't take a whole lot of merit into hot streaks or cold streaks.
Interesting. And yes, Drew is doing his best troll impression. Oh gosh. Okay. So there you have it. I know some people like to take players that are slumping that have favorable matchups, especially with their prices down. I just have to think that a site like Draft Street is where you would target those guys the most, because on FanDuel, DraftKings, their prices aren't really dependent on their recent either hot streaks or slumps. Like, it takes a while for prices to really go up or go down significantly. On Draft Street, you've got like last night, Ryan Braun was around 6K there on Draft Street. And I mean, I just think with guys that have good matchups that have a decent price tag, you want to roll them out. I think McCann's that way on Draft Street tonight. Now, on other cash game sites as far as FanDuel, DraftKings, Draft Day, Star Street, I don't mind if you steer clear from McCann. So there you have it. And Dink says it's called The Book. Is that right?
That actually is it's playing the percentages.
I thought he was trolling again.
No, that's legit The Book.
A kind of similar subject, like The Signal and the Noise by Nate Silver. It's kind of similar. It's like about, seeing trends that you want to see, but like your mind just kind of, you kind of make stuff up. It's a good book, definitely.
Yeah, Nate Silver from the 538, recently acquired by ESPN. So I'm curious to see some of the baseball stuff that they have that they'll come out with. All right. Papa Cub says "Go Dog Go" is his favorite. Let's just go by positions. Catcher, we talked about McCann being an option. Other options for you guys would be Posey,
Yan Gomes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I actually think Jason Castro's in a pretty decent spot. I think he'll be underowned, and I think he's in a decent spot. When Dickey actually lets up ahead, if you get contact on him, it's going out, especially at Rogers Center.
We're just going to run through these position by position. So Navarro, I think would be that sneaky play for the Jays. He's been on a little bit of a heater recently. Knapp, any specific catchers for you other than Posey?
Yeah, Yan Gomes and Navarro is kind of what I had William for a while, but like I just didn't really. I looked at Pineda's splits against righties. It's like 188. I think that was this year so far. Napoli's just kind of not. I'm not feeling him tonight. I don't know. I think Gomes is gonna hit value. He's pretty cheap.
First base. Is it far and away Ortiz? Do you give any?
I think it's far and away Edwin.
Okay, that's what
I think Knapp agrees with me on that one. I know it.
First base,
based on what he said earlier.
Edwin or Ortiz isn't in a bad spot in that stadium. Kind of those two. Goldie's always in play. I don't really like him tonight.
I obviously like Ryan Howard too.
Okay.
Second base.
Dan.
Ali and Rayburn. Two completely different price points, but depending on how you're constructing your roster, those are the two guys for me.
Knapp.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't think on FanDuel they're eligible, but Kelly Johnson, Semien, they're both third base FanDuel, second base, and then Semien and shortstop too on DK. So I like those two. Pedroia, he's just been killing lineups this year so far.
God.
He is due though. Utley, he's coming off a lot of rest. I'm not sure. What was he? What injury did he have?
It was a flu, so I guess there's some concern with that. But
yeah, he's super gamble that no one's gonna have. Ricky Weeks,
Yeah, I don't mind him either.
Kelly Johnson or Asturias? That question from Orange.
Kelly Johnson's gonna get you the power, so that's where I'd go.
I always go guys who have like two dong potentials in a hitter's park. I mean,
so Johnson it is.
I think so. His Taurus is going to get you more dinky stats. He can steal the base, but I'm leaning towards the donger.
Dinky stats. Is that a shot at Drew?
Yeah, that was a shot at Drew.
Is that a shot at Drew?
Oh no! I call singles and stuff like little dinkers.
Oh, wow! Wow. Talking down to Drew. I love it. Third base.
Those are good.
Who do you guys like?
Third base.
Someone asked actually earlier too that we missed a question about Lowry versus Santana, and so I'll answer that real quick while we're going over third base. I do like Santana more than Lowry. I think position in the lineup's big, and he's also going to get. I think you might sneak one more at bat out of him that you're not going to get out of Lowry. But let me see. Third base, I actually like Aramis too. If we're mentioning Brewers righties, I think he's in a decent spot. I don't think he'll be highly owned, but as I stated earlier when I was going over Cliff Lee, Lee's been allowing a ton of hits so far this year. So I do think Aramis is in a pretty good spot. And then, Dave, I know you mentioned Pablo. I don't mind Pablo tonight either.
Yeah. Ben mentioned in his article that, facing a pitcher that is a mediocre pitcher who is homer prone. So he says the Panda should enjoy bringing his 362 weighted on bat average versus right-hand pitching against Delgado. So, and he also mentions Lowry, but he does warn about draft street, where strikeouts are the only negatives that you get, not just outs.
That's the thing too, that you going back to kind of like the hot and cold streaks thing. I do believe that you can see it when you watch the games. There is a difference between a good 0 for 4 and a bad 0 for 4. If you've watched Lowry at all recently, he's looked lost at the plate. He hasn't looked very good. He hasn't made good outs. He hasn't made solid contact. So that does give me some concern about Lowry tonight, even though he's in a good spot.
Nap, any third baseman for you other than Pablo?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the site, but on FanDuel, I love Kelly Johnson's Solarte hedge. I think one's going to have a huge game, or at least a great game for their price. It's not a great third base night. I think, they're both 3K. It's just tough to decide which one for a cash game, but I like those two a lot. DK Solarte, I think he's only shortstop actually, but I like Aramis too. I'll agree with that. That's kind of my cash game DK guy.
All right, what about shortstop? I mean, shortstop is kind of the gross position. Talked about Rollins. You have, I'm not sure really who else you would want to go. Like, I mean, do you feel good about Segura? Like, where his price tag is pretty high against Cliff Lee? I mean, I don't. Even though he's batting second. Like, who do you guys like there at the shortstop?
If you're a guy that believes in hot streaks, you should like Segura tonight. I think he's had 3 straight multi-hit games. He's seeing the ball pretty well. And then I mentioned basically my 1A and 1B would be Asdrubal and Rollins.
Yeah. Nap?
Okay. Yeah, DK, I'm leaning Semyon because he's eligible. Draft day, he's eligible. If I was playing FanDuel, it's tough. Alexei Ramirez he's always so sneaky, and he steals bases. Segura, a lot of his value is on the base stealing, and it's tough to steal. I think it's tough to steal on Cliff Lee. I'm pretty sure he's not an easy base. All lefties usually are, but.
Yeah, it's obviously a little tougher on lefty. I know Ruiz is below average at throwing runners out, but against the lefty, it's always tough to get a jump.
And
it's tough tonight. Yeah,
Bogarts plays for tonight. You've got your Jays with Joey Bats. You've got Melky, and other than those Jays outfielders, are any, we talked about Dom Brown, you mentioned him, Ben also mentioned him in the article. Any other guys that you're seeing out there in the outfield that kind of pique your interest?
I like the Yankees outfield a lot. Yankees left-handed bats. Ellsbury, even though he had a subpar game for me last night, he's in a good spot. There you go. Even though it probably doesn't apply as much as NBA or basketball. Ellsbury, Beltran. Even if you wanted to go cheaper. Actually, Gardner's more expensive than Beltran on FanDuel. So I think, without a doubt, you obviously go Beltran there. But yeah, I like the Yankees outfield.
Nap, we had a question about Braun too. So
I was just about to say, you know, Gomez, Braun, they're batting over 300 career versus Lee. They're hot. It's hard to fade. If you're doing multiple lines, you have to cover that kind of righty Braves tonight. They can always go off, especially when they're not going to be too popular with Lee going. Cash game, Braun's not like crazy expensive. You know, I think it's like 11K on DD. He is 5 on DK. Like, I would rather go Batista if you're choosing one, but I don't mind Braun at all tonight. No.
all right, let's take a look at. We'll do a little draft day rapid fire action, and then whatever Nap is coming up with.
Oh God, I think started.
You had 30 minutes. I mean, now you're down to 12 minutes.
Oh, that's plenty of time.
Oh, man. All right, rapid fire. If you go to draft day, you can go to the game section and select the rapid fire where you pick the best out of these players. You've got Dickey versus Lee. I think we're all in on the Dickey. You've got Braun versus Ortiz.
I'd take Braun.
Yeah, I like Braun. Man. I like Braun.
I'll go with
Like-
Ortiz. Just because, I mean, I know Braun's going up against Lee, but I think Ortiz, who's just batting, he's just not going up against Cliff Lee, basically. Rayburn versus Joey Bats. This is an interesting one.
Wow, that tells you what to think about Rayburn tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. I'm always going Batista there.
Yeah, you have to, but I think that does tell you a lot if you're into reading into that sort of thing.
Yeah, Batista at home. God, he loves that park. I mean, why not?
All right, Ellsbury versus Abreu. This one seems pretty easy.
Ellsbury, yeah.
Yeah, would agree. Nap, you in on that also?
Ellsbury versus Beltran.
Abreu.
Oh, Jose Abreu. God, I mean, I guess I'd go Ellsbury. I'm not really on either of them tonight too much. I guess Ellsbury, yeah.
Kipnis versus Rollins is the last one.
That's tough. Because Danks is a bit of a reverse splits guy. I'll go with Rollins, but it's really close for me.
I like Kipnis. You know, everyone hates BVP, but I mean, Rollins is 1 for 7. Kipnis 5 for 13. He's kind of more power. I just like Kipnis, you know.
Okay, Orange says we never do his, so we can do that really quick at the end. Nap, do you have your contest yet?
Yeah.
Okay. You do?
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we have the Napster Man's.
Let's do it. Let's do the pick 5 on Star Street.
I even got the sound effect for you. But you want to do the pick 5 on Star Street first?
Yeah, Orange does. We never really did much Star Street today.
Yeah, we're going to, but I was going to buffer that with your contest.
Okay.
So
check out.
Let me pull up good old Star Street.
What do you guys think of? Hold on, we gotta address this. What do you think about these two Live Finals being on the same weekend? It's like, is one gonna move?
What now?
I haven't looked too close into the dates. Can't you technically be able to make DraftKings?
DK says it's like Thursday to Tuesday or Friday to Tuesday. and Star Street's on that Saturday, I believe. So it's like, man, you go for $1 million versus 50,000. It's like, which one do you try harder to qualify for? I mean, obviously you're gonna try for both, but
I will say
I don't like that they're killing each other's action.
I will say for football, I chose to go where the prize pool was. I went to Vegas over Star Street, and I think I'd do that differently in retrospect, just because the venue was. But now the venues are. I mean, now the venues are fairly equal. I'd say if you're talking DK versus Star Street, so it's tough. It's a tough choice.
Yeah, I think I think some of it might be. As far as like the destination goes, the type of like Nap, you've already been to, the mansion a few times. So if you qualified for the Bahamas, you might go there. But if we're getting some new players in, and we're getting people that have never been to the mansion, and obviously it's on a lot of people's bucket list, and they go there, and then you have you can always go to the Bahamas. I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. You can always go to the Bahamas. I think it's going to be just dependent on their situation, but hopefully the industry just continues to grow at the pace that it has been, so that there will be enough. Like, I don't want one event to take away from the other. It's a shame that they have to have them. JLou50 says, Mansion over the Bahamas, fellas, no contest. Maybe we could send him and Davis out there to cover the event.
See, it's just like
there we go.
It's also you have to think like long term for the sites. Like if you're not there and you win the $1 million, like you could kill your advertising for that site. Like your potential like to be sponsored, whatever. It's like you got to think like that. Like Draft Street didn't have the winner there. It's like, I mean, he didn't go. Why they're like I'm sure DK had that weekend planned, but like without knowing Star Streets, but like. It really is going to kill these overlays on qualifiers, and people like half the field might not be at one of these events. It's crazy.
Yeah, maybe they could borrow FanDuel's jet and go from LA to the Bahamas. That's I wonder how long of a flight that is. Let's see. Drew is going to be in Kenya during this time, so it doesn't matter where. Hopefully he can qualify for both, so that Mike can go to the mansion and I could go to the Bahamas. So we'll see. But I got dibs on Papa Cup. All right. So if you haven't been to Star Street yet, you can go through our site and you can get a deposit bonus, and then you go. Their interface is second to none, really, as far as like playing a number of games all on one screen.
Yeah.
So you can go to the games and play the Pick 5. You've got Cabrera versus Rollins.
What?
Yeah, my 1A and 1B.
Yeah.
So we're going Cabrera.
Sounds good to me.
Belt versus Santana.
Santana.
God, I'm going Belt. He's so locked in.
Yeah. I would go Belt, but Jensen said that Santana is going to do damage tonight against Stanks. So this is all on Jensen, basically. If Belt outperforms him, it's on Jensen. Freddie Freeman versus Ellsbury.
Jacobs.
I mean, just because I'm a hard on Meja, definitely Jacobs.
We haven't really, and someone mentioned in the chat earlier, we haven't really touched on this Atlanta Mets game. Are we all fading it, basically?
I think other than pitchers, for the most part, yeah.
I'm using EY a little bit on DK. It's really cheap, one of the few like auto stolen bases tonight versus righty. It's hard to predict who's gonna dong like on both these teams. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you've got Freeman, you got Hayward. Ben swears that Ugla is seeing the ball better this year than in past years, but Ben
he's not walking. Yeah,
a big
definitely
Braves homer. That's what Ben is. He is a big Braves homer. Utley versus Kipnis.
Utley for me.
I'm on Kipnis. This is a tough one.
Navarro versus Gomes. I think they just picked your mind, Nap.
Nabs Navarro. I'm Gomes.
Wow, I'd probably go Gomes. Oh, Gomes is higher for me tonight, but because Navarro's cheaper on some sites. But the neutral, I'd go Gomes.
Okay.
Where are you going, Dan?
Gomes.
Okay, then we're all on Gomes then. So there you go.
Owen's definitely just made this. Look at him.
Yeah, definitely just put together. All right, and that leads us to the. Wait for it. Nap's Kung Fu match. Nap, we'll have to change the match because we're not really matching a stat. Or are we? Really? I mean, tell us.
That's a good idea, but no. We could call it Kung Fu.
It's going to be dirty, I have a feeling.
I don't work in Dawson.
It's going to be dirty.
I'll think of something. But yeah, tonight is going to be, it's not just a dong, it's a dong and a stolen base. You got to pick the guy who's going to have a dong and a stolen base. So go at Napsterman and include your guess with the hashtag InsidersTV. And then if two people pick different players that both have a dong and a stolen base, it's going to be whoever had more stolen bases, more dongs, more, and then the tiebreaker will start with more.
Whose dong was overall. Longer?
No, overall hits. I mean, if guys 4 for 5 versus 3 for 5, we'll go with the 4 for 5 guy. He's just better night.
Just say like overall FanDuel points, basically.
Okay. For tiebreakers, okay.
Yeah, because you did not like my idea of whose dong was longer. Tuttle, you've got that mischievous grin on your face. Why is that?
Because you just said whose dong is longer.
Well, I mean, no, let's not be childish about this.
Strasburg's in trouble.
He is.
He's got 10 Ks though, so it's like all gravy from here. But man.
Oh, okay. Because our buddy Steve swore that Strasburg was going to get shelled today, and he was going to.
He's got 12 Ks already.
12? Oh my god! Yeah, he's fine.
And he was going to get launched. Let's see. In the chat says I'm going with Dickey plus either Meja, Hell, Vogelsong. Any recommendations? I think we're up on Mejia, right, Dan?
I put
Nab. I think Nab's on Mejia. And I think I would go Hal. I'd leave Hal.
I put Salazar over Vogie, but
did you not hear what Jensen said?
I mean, I hate Vogelsong. That's just my reason. But yeah.
Wow. I mean, Nap. No offense, but you've never pitched in a major league game.
Say that again.
I will say that if you look at team totals, it's actually. The Diamondbacks is lower than you would think, team total wise, which they're at 3.5.
I mean, don't they make those numbers to get action on both sides? Not like exactly what they think is going to happen. Like they know people are going to pick the over on that. I don't know. It's just I don't really rely on that. They're so close.
All right.
I just go with the pitcher, like the skill of the pitcher, basically in the matchup. And...
That'll do it for today's show. Basically, want to thank these two guys. Napsterman, you can reach him on Twitter at Napsterman. He's one of the best follows there in the daily fantasy sports industry. Always entertaining and upbeat, unless you question his big timeness about taking people out of the lineups. Then he gets
what the hell?
A little
no.
Defensive.
He said, because I looked at the news, I was in big time. I was like, my bad. It was an interesting stat.
So, yeah, just don't talk to him about being big time. And Dan is one of the co-founders of Fantasy Insiders. You can reach him at Mr. Tuttle05. So definitely give both these guys a follow. I mean, I really feel like both of you guys on the show increases not the nerd factor, but like the street cred, the player. I mean, look at Dan. He's got Beats microphones on and a FanDuel hoodie. So, You can tell everybody.
Straight from the hood. You know me.
We
Dude,
are going
what's
to
up
do a
with
Beats
Kaepernick? He
commercial
got in
for
trouble.
Insiders TV. It's already a foregone conclusion. But yeah, tune in tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be going over the big Friday games. So
Hold on.
it'll be fun.
Everyone
right.
use the Force tonight.
Yes, channel your inner force.
Yodong, Yoda dong. Or if you're feeling evil. Boom! Look at that.
What was that?
It's a Star Wars lunchbox. You can't beat
Yeah.
this.
Oh,
Duh.
I take back the whole not nerd.
We're not swaggy anymore.
I take back the whole player credibility, street cred.
Yeah, that just went out the window.
You don't see a lot of people walking down the street with their Yoda lunchbox. That's all I know.
No, I use that to store stuff. I don't really carry it around.
Maybe in the Bay Area.
Wow.
All right.
All right, let's turn this off.
Yeah, let's turn this off. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Peace out.
Peace. Oh, Strass is out of it.